Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Welcome to Game Over Cup Final, Game 2 between the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights. 7-2, the final score. 9 goals in about 30 game misconducts. I'm Charlie, host of Usually Game Over Ottawa. I'm happy to be doing a playoff game. Not under the circumstances that definitely Kaya and I at least were hoping for this season. But anyway, like I said, I'm Charlie and I'm thrilled to be joined by Kaya and Avery. Um, what a crossover episode this is. Um, I don't even know where to start, so I just want to address the fact, first of all, Kaya, would you like to make your case for why you're choosing the Panthers? Because you're the only one of the three of us that is, visibly, I guess, rooting for one side over the other here. I wanna address how the three of us and are hoping this series will go.
All right. Okay. So, first of all, I cried when Matthew Tkachuk got traded from Calgary because he was my favorite Calgary player. And I know a lot of people don't like him right now, especially the refs of this game.
I didn't know Canucks fans were allowed to have a favorite flame. I didn't realize that was.
I'm kind of to a lot of Canucks fans, I'm like a horrible, like blasphemous fan. But I like a lot of players from different teams. It's
Okay.
like it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's a whole
Okay.
thing.
We won't go too deep into that.
I follow the Flames for the former Canucks now, and that's about it because they keep taking them. Anyway, so the Florida Panthers, mainly the reason I'm rooting for them to win the cup is Roberto Luongo
Okay. Yeah.
is in their front office group, and I would like to see him get the cup because he deserved it in 2011, but Tim Thomas had some really cool pads. Anyway, Roberto Luongo, yeah, and also Vegas knocked the Canucks out in 2020, and I'm still mad about that. Like, it's dumb because like half the players from that era are gone because Vegas, who cares about loyalty? But like I'm still mad about that. Robin Leonard save, he's not even playing, but the Robin Leonard save on Brock Besser should have been. It should have been. Anyway, Matthew Tkachuk and I are also the same astrological sign, so that's my reasoning.
All right. Avery, do you have any preference one way or the other with how this series goes? Or are you just looking for some good hockey?
I've been a Vegas guy since day one. I know I do at the end of the show, but I've been a Vegas guy since day one because there's some people who are saying, oh, expansion teams shouldn't win this early. I think expansion teams winning and making the old school mad is very fun to watch. So if Vegas were to win,
Yeah,
if Vegas were to win a
I'm
cup
with
in
you.
year 6, that would be fun to see in their 6 year of existence.
What's the fun in, especially with, like two teams coming in so close together with Vegas and Seattle? Like, is it more fun to have two teams picking the top 10 for the first 10 years of their existence? Like, who is that for? Who is that for? But
Yeah.
I love that you that's immediately where you went. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I've always thought it's so weird, the idea of your expansion team used to be bad for next 10 years. How is a good business? How is a good business have this team be garbage for a decade? I never got that about expansion team. I never understood that logic.
I love it. I'm so both of these teams are tough for me because not that there's at all really, an Ottawa Florida rivalry. I mean, it's kind of fun now that the Kachuk brothers are both in the same division, but I just find it tough to cheer for any team in the same division as my team. So Florida immediately I have a tough time with. But I also have like trouble with Vegas just for the same reason that so many other hockey fans have trouble with Vegas. Just, they don't love to um necessarily tell a lot of their players the truth. A lot of rotating door of everyone in there. My only thing is, listen, if I got to pick one player I want to see win the cup, I'm kind of, I guess, same boat as Kai here. I just want to see my boy Mark Stone with the Stanley Cup. So, if you're gonna pick the lesser of two evils, it's gonna be the one where Mark Stone gets to make his fun, excited face. Um, So I'm going to ask both of you because as a Sens fan, I don't watch. Okay, let me add to it. As a Sens fan currently in the UK, where my team starts playing at midnight most of the time, I really have not watched much Vegas this season. So for the two of you who have probably watched way more than me, given that the teams that you cover, Vegas is playing in that same division, what can either of you tell me about Vegas going into this? And because there's been so much, I don't know if you guys have seen this on Twitter, there's been a lot of discourse on Twitter about whether or not Vegas is a dark horse, because there's a lot of people who are saying that they're a dark horse because they were no one's cup pick, but they won the conference. Like, I don't know what way to look at it. They're either an underdog or they're overrated. Vegas is a team that's never right where they're supposed to be based on, I guess, hype. So either one of you, please jump in, tell me what you think of the team going into the playoffs, because I have to be honest with you, I have not seen nearly enough of this team this season to really, explain any of it myself.
I think about Vegas, they're good and they know it, but they know it to a point where it's like annoying for the rest of the world. Like for example, in the Pacific Division, it's not fun having to play them. Like sometimes we'll completely knock them out of the park. The Vancouver Canucks will knock them out of the park. So, there's always hope for Florida, but when it comes to Vegas, I think I wouldn't say they're underrated, or like Avery said, they had that air of the expansion team. They're expected to be bad for a certain amount of time, and we're seeing that with Seattle was last year, but then now they're good this year, and it's a weird situation going on in Seattle. But I think Vegas, the way that it came out, like right out of the bat, and they made it to the Stanley Cup final, I feel like there's a sense of jealousy when it comes to why people dislike Vegas, because it's like, yeah, their team has gone to the Stanley Cup final twice now in 6 years. And then I'm like, our team, not the Panthers, I mean, the Canucks have been in this league for 53 years. We've gone 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a tinge of jealousy there. But at the same time, I feel like the reason that they were no one's cup picks is because I guess kind of people expected them to be good already, and people were, I think, holding out hope that it would be Edmonton's year. I'm sorry, Avery, but I do think that Vegas is going to be, they're going to be a team to beat for many, many years. And the reason, the revolving door is a reason that they've been that team, because they've gone to playoffs all but 1 year last year. Um and yeah, they're circumventing the cap, but so did Tampa. So, of course they deserve to win a cup. Anyway, yeah, it's great. Avery, you're the actual, Knights fan here. So
Watching Vegas, the idea of them being underdog, I thought was silly. Of course, so many people had Edmonton because you saw McDavid and Drysdale having a great year. You saw Matisse Ekholm come in and be a spark plug on the back end, have a great year defensively with Evan Bouchard and their pairings. But Vegas, again, you said it right there, Charlie. They won the conference. They were number one team in the Pacific. How are you possibly an underdog? And then when you go through this team here, you've got Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, Chandler Stevenson. Like, this is a team that rolls 3 to 4 lines that can burn you at will, and their forechecking was so aggressive. So I thought it was silly that they are ever really an underdog with what they're able to bring offensively and also the pressure they can bring. We saw what they did in 2 games against Florida. They have completely overmatched the Panthers, who are showing right now that 10-day break, it's working against them right now.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. They are up front, especially. I mean, solid D, absolutely, but up front, the Knights are loaded. It's nuts. Like their fourth line goes out there, and I'm like, oh my god, look at the puck movement on this. Is this the? Oh no, it's the fourth line again. Absolutely insane. Um, yeah, and God, do the two of you find this final as like, because both teams here are obviously two teams that, for whatever, Florida, I think to a point understandable why no one expected them to be here, but again, going back to Vegas being the team that Vegas taking advantage of those power play opportunities. This time even, obviously both teams getting 4 power plays. Florida going 0 for 4. Vegas, a nice little 2 for 4, but I know the big thing for Florida. I'm going to go to you on this one, Kaya. I know the big thing for Florida after Game 1 was stop taking the second shot, because being the person throwing the second shot, you're the one going to the penalty box. How do you feel about Florida's, I don't know, adjustment, I guess, maybe, to, I mean, they took fewer penalties this time, but they still took 4 penalties. How do you feel about Florida, hopefully, maybe learning at least a bit of a lesson as far as, being the second person in, and taking those retaliation penalties after Game 1, that being such a huge issue for them?
I feel like they still have a lot of work to do. Like you said, while the amount of penalties was not as much as last game, it was still a lot. In a playoff game, there should not be 4 penalties for each team. Okay, there should be, but like it's not called, but they're doing the stuff that doesn't get
it goes to
called.
show how rough it is, right? Like this
Yeah,
series so
true.
far is just brutal.
Yeah. Do I think some things went uncalled for both sides? Yeah.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the retaliation one, obviously Duclair got that one later in the game, but it was less prevalent in this game, which, is a good thing. But at the same time, it's hard to control your emotions at the best of times. Well, I mean, maybe for normal people, but for me, it's hard. But like in the Stanley Cup Final, there's just so much stress, and when your team is down the way that Florida is down currently, and yeah, they've done this against Boston, but Boston was like injured the entire series. Whereas Vegas, everyone was on LTIR until the playoffs started. So there's a bit of a difference there. I don't know. I feel like they still need to have more discipline overall, because you still can't, 4 penalties while the other team has 4 penalties may not seem a lot, but how many misconducts did you guys get? Matthew Tkachuk got 2 in one game. I didn't even think that was possible. Like, I learned that was a thing tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, scratch it off
Get...
your bingo card, folks. That is unreal. And who else could have done it? Who else? Like, no one
Radko
else.
Gudas, but like they knocked him out. Vegas knocked him out with a headshot.
Oh, that's a whole other thing we got to talk about too.
Yeah, it's great. It's a wonderful series with wonderful officiating in this wonderful league, and I love this wonderful sport so much.
This is so fun because I have a Florida person and a Vegas person on this show. So I'm gonna go Avery, dude.
Yes.
You spent this season watching probably the most magical power play, right? Like the Oilers power play is insane. And after watching this game where Vegas was the only team to be able to convert on the power play, and maybe and the reason I'm saying it like this is because maybe you're the wrong person to ask because you're used to just a stupid power play, right? I want to ask you how you think Vegas's power play has been so far this series. How well they're taking those opportunities that Florida is probably giving to them a little too often. But are you even able to fully appreciate how good the Vegas power play is after watching Edmonton all season long?
You know what? It's surprising because this year Vegas had one of the league's worst power plays. If you talk to anyone, the Vegas fans, the Vegas writers, during the Edmonton Vegas series, I would sit down and watch morning skate with Ken Bolke and Jesse Granger, and they would tell me, the Vegas power play is garbage, it's awful. And you'd watch them go to the drills, and yeah, you would see in drills and in games that series against the Oilers how that Vegas power play wasn't doing much. It was very stagnant. It was all about getting that puck down low to Mark Stone. So seeing them score twice in this game, you're like, wow, okay. Vegas power play, they're taking their advantage of the Florida miscues. It was a bit surprising. That's what you have to do in the Cup Final. You've got to take advantage of those chances, and they did just that in Game 2. So good on Vegas for scoring the power play when all year long it's been a major issue for them.
Yeah. They're just gonna, as long as they're being given the opportunity, I imagine the game plan is gonna stay the exact same for the next couple of games here. So yeah, speaking of Gudas, we got to talk about the fact that Florida went into this game running 11-7 for their lineup, knowing that Radko Gudas was hurting going into this game, which I found kind of surprising that they just. So I don't know if it was Paul Maurice who said that or what, as far as like in what capacity. All I saw, I'm pretty sure I saw Elliot Friedman tweet that before the game that he just said the Florida Panthers are going to go 11 forward, 7 defensemen because Radko Gudas is hurting. So I found it surprising that that the information of like, oh, this guy specifically is in rough shape, because you think, oh, so that's people are just going to take a run at that dude if they know he's hurting. And then in my brain, I went, oh, well, maybe not if it's Radko Gudas. Everyone might still be afraid of him. But no, like Barbashev went after him. So good thing that they ran 7 defensemen, because they had 6 for the majority of the game. I want to talk to both of you. I want both of your input on this, on that Gudas hit, because I'm seeing a lot of people saying, no, it was just like a decent hit. And a lot of people are saying nothing but face. Like, God, I don't know who's feeling a little saucy. Who wants to throw their opinion on that hit first? Okay, all right, Kaya.
Okay, so I am on the side of all head contact should be penalized. Like, it does not matter where you like what you hit them with. Any contact to the head should be penalized. But the league, continuously just denies the fact that CTE is connected to hockey now. So that's never going to happen. But yeah, I think while people may say it's a clean hit, you still shouldn't be aiming. Like, yeah, it's a shoulder. It's not as bad as like an elbow, but that's still another freaking body part. Like, it does not feel good to hit anything with your head. Trust me, I've hit my car door. I've hit my head on my car door many times. It is not a good feeling. But like a shoulder going full force into your face, I understand being a clean hit and all that, but just because it's a clean hit doesn't mean. I feel like that should be a reworked term, because clean doesn't always mean like it should be allowed in the game, especially with head contact. People saying it's a reverse hit. I understand that, but at the same time, still head contact. Like,
I see what you mean. Yeah, clean and legal are not synonyms. So, and I will say on that one, I was scrubbing through the replay of that, just kind of frame by frame, and if you look at it, because you got Gudas going straight forward, and on that frame by frame thing, his head moves back, like just like a bit like that, before the rest of his body moves. So I think it was a pretty clear cut hit straight onto the head. Avery, I don't know what side you're taking on this one, man. I would love to hear your opinion on that hit, because it's I don't know. It's a touchy subject, but it's a big topic from this game. So I think we gotta maybe upset people. I don't know. We'll see.
It's very touchy, but no, I agree, Kaya. This should be the NHL has to move to eventually IHF standard of any hit to the head is a penalty. We can't have a league that has a gray area for any level of head contact. What we know about CTE and concussions, it's long overdue to reverse hit or not. Say any hit to the head is worthy of a penalty. Plain and simple.
Yeah, if it was any hit to the head is penalized, then Quinn Hughes wouldn't have broken his nose like 3 times this year. That went unpenalized, by the way. So
I'm sure we'll be called soft by the good old school hockey fellas.
He shouldn't lead with his head. He shouldn't lead with his head.
Go watch tennis.
Yeah, no, sorry. Call me soft, but concussions are bad.
Call me soft, but people should be able to live a happy life after their career is done.
It'd be so cool if they knew what their kids' names were past the age of 50. Like that'd be
great.
That'd be great.
I've been concussed playing sports twice. They're not fun. Like,
I got concussed sledding once. It was not a great time. So, especially if it comes in a hockey game, that is probably a much worse concussion. So,
you think?
Yeah.
So, fun transition now. So Jonathan Marchessault has 12 goals in his last 12 games. The smile and the nod on one end, and the rolling of the eyes on the other. Okay. Let's start with you, Avery. Let's start with you. Especially with, listen, I know there was some talk about Bobrovsky maybe getting that, even if the Panthers lose, does Bobrovsky get the J.S. Giguère treatment? Does he get the Conn Smythe on the losing team? After tonight, is there any question at all that if Vegas wins, it's going to Marchessault?
I think as it stands right now, he is the